In a lot of my videos, we talk about how to keep children safe. But in today's video, we're going to talk about how to keep you as a babysitter safe. So stay tuned. Hey sitters, welcome back to another video. It is Lydia. Thanks for joining us. Today we are here at the Largo Police Department with Officer Bowling. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for a little bit.
Sure. My name is Officer Bowling with the Largo Police Department. I am part of the Problem-Oriented Policing Division, and I am the Crime Prevention Officer.
Perfect. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today about safety tips for us as babysitters while we do what we do best. So we're going to talk about safety tips from beginning to end, what it would look like from the very beginning of getting a job all the way to the end of your night, and what you can do to keep yourself safe. So first things first, you are looking for jobs and you want to go about it the best way. In previous videos, we talked about how to get those jobs. I personally have grown organically over the years, but what is the best way to keep babysitters ourselves safe when either being reached out to by a family or looking for jobs ourselves?
Sure. The first thing I would suggest is making sure that we're taking jobs from people you personally know, or you're getting referrals from people you personally know, maybe a friend that has babysat before for someone, they can refer them. Or the third thing is going through a company that will vet the family and make sure that they've gone through some safety checks. We don't recommend using like cold calls or using an online or a newspaper marketplace to try to find a complete stranger and going to a complete stranger's home, just because there's so many safety unknowns involved with that. Yeah.
Okay, so we say we do get a cold call from somebody and the text message is not a lot of information. Where do we go from there? If I get a text just saying, hey, I got your number from a friend, are you available Saturday night? In what response, or do we respond at all?
Sure. So I would respond back and ask, number one, who is this? And then where did you get my name? Okay. And if they say, well, we got your name from Sally, then I'm going to contact Sally and say, do you know Mr. Smith? I just got contacted by him.
Oh, okay.
So if they don't want to give me their name, or if they don't want to tell me how they found out about me, then I would call that a red flag, and that might be something that might be suspicious to me.
Yeah. Okay. So we get the job. Everything's a-okay. I suggest here on the channel that we always meet the families before we babysit for them. What safety tips when we go to meet that family should we be aware of, or what should we do while we meet that family?
So while you're meeting them for the first time before you're taking the job, you want to be, first of all, just be aware of who you are dealing with. If someone has contacted you and said, hey, I normally babysit for this family, but they need a sitter on Saturday, I can't do it, will you fill in for me? Go ahead and get some information. You might want to do just a little bit of background check, ask around and find out, make sure that they're familiar with them, and try to get a little bit of background information about them.
Okay.
When you are actually going there, it's important to be observant and be observant of the home. I would always suggest for the first time that you ever go to a home that you take someone with you.
Yeah.
So if you're a minor, then I would suggest taking a parent. A lot of times a minor might think, well, I don't want to take my mom or dad because I want to show them that I can do the job. And I would have that conversation with mom or dad ahead of time and just say, I want you to come along just for my safety. One of the things that does is it lets the potential family that you're going to work for know that you are part of a bigger group that's concerned about your safety.
Yeah, that's very important. So even if it's that mom and dad sits in the car while you go in and work with this family or meet this family, I think that's actually really good advice, that you want to make sure that this family knows that you do have backup, you do have people supporting you, and just watching out for your well-being, so that if they do try anything, there are people going to be looking for you, basically.
Yes. On the same note, I also let people know, hey, I've got to leave at whatever an hour is.
Okay.
So it should take maybe a half an hour to have that meeting with them. And I would say, hey, I'm having lunch with my family today at 12, and so I've got a couple minutes to sit down and talk with you. That way you're giving the message that someone is expecting to see me at a later time.
Oh, perfect. And setting that time expectation.
Yes.
Like, not going to be here all day.
Yes.
It's a 30-minute, we're just meeting, getting to know each other, and then you're able to go home and, yeah, okay. All righty.
I would talk about safety conversation. So a lot of times your family is probably going to want to know, have you been CPR certified? Have you been background checked? What kind of background work has been done on you? So I would say it's probably appropriate to say to a family, I understand that you are looking out for the best safety of your children, and that's understandable. But I also am looking for my safety. And so in light of that, I would like to get some information from you. So you can ask for things like their name, or you could get a copy of their driver's license if that, just so that way you know exactly who you're dealing with.
While I'm meeting this family, are there things that may come up or that I need to look for that says this is not a family I should be working for?
Sure. These are what I would call a red flag. If I see something like this, I would know immediately this is going to be a problem and my safety might be at jeopardy. So if they're asking very personal information, like what is your favorite color? Do you like teddy bears? Do you like certain, gifts or things like that? That would be very inappropriate. So we want to make sure that we're keeping the relationship professional. And if you hear something like that, that would be inappropriate, that might be a sign to say this is probably not going to be the best job for me.
Yeah. So things such as, maybe not things such as like, what's your favorite topping of pizza if they're ordering pizza that night?
So if I observed a red flag, I might not say anything at the time. I might wait until I leave and then not make a commitment at the time and say, let me check my calendar. And then when I leave, I might say, hey, I have a conflict, or I'm not able to, because we don't want to be in the residence with someone and say, well, this isn't going to work. I'm a little freaked out. I'm a little wigged out, right? And now I've got to walk away from that situation. I would definitely say, let me check my schedule. Let me check and see if I'm available. And then once I left, I would say, I've checked my schedule. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be available for that night.
Yeah, okay. And also, maybe trying to talk with others to see maybe you're not so sure it's a red flag, but checking in with mom and dad saying, hey, this is what was said. I'm not really sure if that crosses the line or not. And maybe things build up to become a red flag. Maybe it's not just a big red flag. Maybe it's little things that along the way can create a bigger red flag that says, okay, I do need to step away from this family and no longer work for them. So okay, so now we've got the gig. The family seems great. You've met the family, met the kids, everything's going smoothly. And you're working for them the first time. So mom and dad leave. What do we do then? What are some safety tips? I mean, locking the door, obviously.
We absolutely want to lock the door. And we want to make sure that if we're in the backyard, the front door's locked. If we go to the front yard, we want to make sure that the back door's locked. So things like that, making sure the doors are locked. If it's at nighttime, if it gets dark, we want to make sure all the lights are on, make sure the blinds are open and drapes are open so that you have some visibility outside. Also, if I had the opportunity, I might want to just drive around the neighborhood for a little bit and just beforehand and just maybe before I arrive on location, just to see, okay, how's the neighborhood laid out? When it's dark and I'm leaving, I want to make sure that I'm driving around a certain way to get back out. I don't want to get lost after dark in a neighborhood that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, that'd be trouble.
If I was parking on the street or if I was parking somewhere, I would park somewhere where I would not get blocked in. It might be a red flag if someone said, I'll move my car out, you park here and I'll park my car in behind you. That would definitely be a red flag. So I would want to make sure I park in a place that's well lit, some place that my car could easily be accessed and to be able to leave. Always lock your car doors. I would always recommend to lock your car doors all the time. Even if you're going to 7-Eleven to get a soft drink, lock your doors. It's always the safest thing. But always keep your keys with you. Don't lay your keys down somewhere, put them in your pocket, keep them somewhere with you. So that way, if you have to leave quickly, you have access to your vehicle. You're not looking for your keys or anything like that.
Perfect. And another thing that we keep on us that are not, you don't use to play with, but our phone. Right,
yes, absolutely. So we want to use our phone. We want to keep our phone with us, first of all, in the interview process. If you have your phone with you in the interview process, you obviously have contact with somebody that can do something to help you in case there's an emergency. I would also suggest that be aware of how the silent 911 feature works on your particular phone. So every phone is a little different. My phone actually, if I press the down volume, and if I press the power button and I keep it pressed for a little bit, it's going to show emergency SOS. If I slide that emergency SOS, or if I do nothing for like 5 seconds, it's going to automatically call 911.
Oh, okay.
So I would make sure I'd had that with me during the interview, but also I think it's important to keep your phone with you while you're working on the job. If you have an emergency, you don't want to be looking for your phone. A lot of people nowadays don't have a landline. So it may not be available to just go grab the phone off the wall like maybe people did back in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
So they may not have that. So if you had an emergency, you would have immediate access to 911.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this in a previous video about when having an emergency and doing CPR, you have that phone next to you that you can either say, hey Siri, do what I need,
Right.
or whatever it may be. Your phone is going to give you access to the outside world when it's really important. So keeping it on you, not to play or use while you're watching the kids, but for an emergency. That first initial interview, I do like to tell people, if I don't take my parents with me, where I'm going. I like to share my location with my parents. I know a lot of kids or people don't like to share their location. Even if it's for 24 hours, just share it with them so that they know where you are during that time. I also do it when I go and babysit in general, if I get a gig and I share my location with my parents. And then also, I go on a lot of outings. You guys know that. I used to nanny. I'm getting back into nannying. I babysit and go to the local parks. So I go on a lot of outings. What is a big thing with outings that we need to know as babysitters while we're taking care of somebody else's?
Sure. So let's start at the house when you're getting ready to leave. So you walk outside, you get the children in the car, you get them situated, everybody's buckled up, obviously,
Yes.
in their car seat, age-appropriate car seat. Just stop and take a second to make sure the front door is locked, and just stop, take a second just to look and make a mental note of what everything looks like.
Okay.
From there, you head out, you go to your outing. The biggest thing is what we call situational awareness. Just being observant of who's around you, who belongs, who doesn't belong, who's at the park it's not there with children. Is that a red flag? Who's around that you could go to in case you had a problem? Is there a park worker there? Is there someone else that's nearby that you could go and talk to? Is there a place that you could go to, what we would call like an escape route? Is there a place that I could go? You know, if there's a problem, I'm just going to go straight over there and I'm going to go talk to that park worker.
Yeah.
Also, if you're out and about and if you see someone, make eye contact with people, because a lot of times people that are wanting to do nefarious things are not wanting to be recognized, and they don't want to have that feeling of someone's watching me, taking note of what I look like.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is if you see someone that's suspicious, make a mental note of what they look like.
Yeah.
Are they male or female? Are they tall or thin? Are they short? Are they heavy? Are they have dark hair or light hair, long hair, short hair? What are they wearing? And I always try to think about from the top down. I think, okay, they have a Tampa Bay Lightning hat on, and they've got a Buccaneer shirt on, and they've got tan shorts on. I just think from the top down, and that just helps me when I work and I'm at work and I'm looking for someone who's suspicious. That just gives me that mental picture.
Yeah, and I personally have had a experience where it really opened my eyes to how much I need to be aware of my surroundings. I was by myself. I didn't have kids with me, but it definitely opened my eyes about you need to definitely look around at your surroundings, making sure you do know who's around you. And at the parks we do, I like to meet up with other nannies, other families. We always have somebody, or I always think about, okay, who would I go to if I needed something? It may just be another mom in the park that's there with her kids, but I do take note of, okay, that guy's been there for a little bit. He doesn't have a dog with him. He doesn't have kids with him. This is what he's wearing. If I think it's even more suspicious or he gets even more suspicious, I go and talk to somebody else in the park about it. That way, I'm not the only one trying to remember what he looks like. We have somebody else, and then that way we are a team if something happens or goes down. I have had to walk away from parks because I was the only one there. Somebody suspicious came up. I did say hello to him. I did tell him that I know he's there.
Right.
But that didn't unfortunately, that didn't steer him away, and we did pack up and leave. We were only there for like 5 minutes. The kids were really sad, but in my mind, I felt like I did the best thing for us, and I kept us safe. So,
Yes. If you ever have doubt, you can always call the local police department.
That's true.
And we will come out. Sometimes people say, well, we don't want to bother the police with something like this. But that's what we're here for, is to make sure that you guys are safe and make sure that you feel safe. And a lot of times we can go out and contact someone, see who they are, and find out, hey, they're just out here at the park eating their lunch. They're on their lunch break. And so we can identify why they're there. And at least we have some identifying information from them. So if maybe they were going to do something nefarious, they're not going to anymore because they know they've been called out, right?
Yep.
And maybe if they've not had any nefarious plans at all, they at least know, hey, someone's out here making sure that someone's safe.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we pack up and we go home. Is there anything we should be aware of? Maybe somebody following us or anything like that?
So just be aware of someone following you. If you feel like someone's following you, you can always call 911 and say, I think someone's following me.
Okay.
A lot of times we will have people say, just come to the police department. Because a lot of times, if someone's trying to do something nefarious by following you, maybe they saw you at the park with a couple of children, you're by yourself, they're probably not going to follow you to a police department. So you can always go to the local police department. You can also ask your phone, hey, give me directions to the local police department, or find out what works on your phone, and that way, or a local fire department. A lot of times a local fire department, sometimes they have the doors open, you can just drive right up to the doors. If not, pull up, honk the horn, and keep honking the horn until someone comes out.
Yeah.
And then that way, if someone is up to no good, they're not going to want to be seen, they're not going to want to be visible, they're not going to be around someone that's honking their horn at a fire department. They're probably going to go away, and you'll be with firemen that you know are going to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to get a hold of local police department to get someone out there that you can tell, hey, this is what happened.
Nice.
If you make it back home, pull up in the driveway. Remember where we said take that extra second when you're leaving to look at the house and see what it looked like when you left? Now take the extra second to look at the house and see, does it look the same? Is there something different? Is there a light on that wasn't on? Is there a light off that was on before? Is the door open or whatever? If you find something that's suspicious, put it in reverse, move out of there, go down the street, call 911 right away, and have a police officer come out. We'll come out and check the house and see if there's anything suspicious.
Nice.
We definitely don't want anybody walking into a house that they're already not 100% familiar with, but also maybe a little bit suspicious. Now, what happens if we get called out and it's nothing? That's fine. We like when there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a problem at all. So I just want to assure people, if you see something suspicious, give us a call. Don't worry about, well, I'm a little concerned that they're going to think this was not, they're going to think less of me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that at all.
We're not going to cried wolf.
Yes, we're not going to think that at all. We are here to make sure people are safe and make sure people feel safe, and we're just doing our job.
Alrighty, and the last thing is to just trust your gut overall, right?
Absolutely, trust your gut. There's a lot of times that our mind sees something that we may not be able to articulate. We can't exactly say what we feel is suspicious about it, but our mind is picking up on it. We're seeing subtle cues that we don't really recognize. If your gut is telling you something isn't right, guess what? It's probably not right.
Yeah.
You should absolutely trust your gut. At the end of the day, whether you're meeting with a family for the first time and you get a gut feeling that something's not right, and if you walk away from that and you never go there, you're out of job.
Yeah.
And we will find another job.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can find one somewhere else. And I'm pretty sure we talked about that in previous videos. You're not at a loss if you walk away from a job. You can find somebody to replace them. It's better to keep yourself safe than to make a couple bucks, right?
Absolutely.
Officer Bowling, if they had any other questions, who should they reach out to?
Well, absolutely contact your local police department and talk to any of the officers at your local police department. And they can always give you good advice, especially for wherever you may be.
Yeah. Thank you again, Officer Bowling, for all of these great tips, for your time. I know my audience is going to appreciate it, but I appreciate it as well. Keeping ourselves safe is really important for also trying to keep others safe. If you guys have any other questions, you can put them down in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.